The road stretched out, a black ribbon under the ghostly glow of the moon. Wind howled through the trees, making them sway like wraiths in the night. The atmosphere was eerie, almost otherworldly, as if the road itself was leading into another realm. Behind the wheel, a lone driver fought fatigue, his eyes heavy and his mind wandering. He'd been driving for hours, the monotony of the road lulling him into a dangerous drowsiness. The hum of the engine was the only sound keeping him company. He was miles from home, in the middle of nowhere, with no sign of civilization in sight. The isolation was palpable, and the darkness seemed to close in around him. Then a figure appeared in the headlights, a lone hitchhiker standing by the roadside. The driver hesitated, his instincts screaming at him to keep driving. Something about the figure felt off. A chill ran down his spine. But the night was cold, and the figure looked vulnerable, shivering in the moonlight. Compassion overruled caution. He pulled over, and the hitchhiker climbed in, bringing with them an air of silence and mystery. The driver tried to make small talk, his voice breaking the heavy silence. He asked where the hitchhiker was headed, trying to ease the tension that filled the car. No response came, just a name and an address spoken in a voice barely above a whisper. The hitchhiker's eyes remained fixed on the road ahead, their expression unreadable. The driver focused on the road, an unsettling feeling creeping up his spine. The night seemed to grow darker, the road longer, and the silence more oppressive with each passing mile. The silence in the car was heavy. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the occasional rustle of leaves outside. The driver glanced at the hitchhiker, trying to make sense of the eerie quiet. The hitchhiker stared straight ahead, unblinking, as if lost in a trance. His presence was unsettling, a shadow that seemed to absorb the light. Pale face, empty eyes. The driver tried again. "Long trip?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. No answer. The hitchhiker's silence was deafening, a void that swallowed the driver's words. The hitchhiker just pointed to an old house in the distance as they approached. The gesture was slow, deliberate, as if he had all the time in the world. The driver felt a chill run down his spine. He knew that house. It was a place of forgotten memories and whispered secrets. It had been abandoned for years, left to decay and be reclaimed by nature. The windows were broken, and the walls were covered in ivy. The driver pulled into the driveway, the headlights casting long shadows that danced on the cracked pavement. When he turned to the passenger seat, it was empty. Gone. The hitchhiker had vanished without a trace, leaving only the lingering sense of dread. The driver jumped out of the car, heart pounding in his chest like a drum. Panic set in as he scanned the area. He searched frantically, calling out into the night. Nothing, no response. Just the echo of his own voice. No sign of the mysterious passenger. It was as if he had never been there at all. Just an empty driveway and an unsettling silence that seemed to stretch on forever. Days later, the driver couldn't shake off the encounter. The empty road, the silent passenger, the vanishing act. It haunted his thoughts, replaying in his mind like a broken record. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face, pale and expressionless, staring back at him from the rearview mirror. He knew he had to find answers. To understand what had happened that night, he had to know more. Driven by an unseen force, he went to the library. Local history section. The dim lighting and the musty smell of old books added to the eerie atmosphere. He combed through countless records, hoping to find a clue, a piece of the puzzle that would make sense of the inexplicable. He searched for the address. His blood ran cold. The more he read, the more his heart pounded. He felt a chill run down his spine as he stumbled upon a familiar name. He found an old newspaper article. The yellowed pages and faded ink told a story long forgotten by most, but not by him. He read every word, his eyes widening with each sentence. The article described a tragic accident, a car crash on a lonely stretch of road. The details were eerily similar to his own experience. The more he read, the more he felt a connection to the story. A young woman died on that road, her life cut short in a moment of tragedy. The photograph in the article showed a vibrant young woman full of life, now reduced to a ghostly memory. Her name matched the one given by the hitchhiker. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. The woman he had picked up was the same woman who had died years ago. The date of the accident? Years ago. Long before he had ever driven down that road, the impossibility of it all made his head spin. The driver stared at the photo in the article. The same pale face, the same empty eyes. It was her. the ghostly passenger who had vanished without a trace. The hitchhiker was the dead woman from the article, a spectral presence, forever bound to the road where she had met her untimely end. The driver knew he would never forget her. A wave of fear washed over the driver. He had given a ride to a ghost. The realization hit him like a physical blow, the eerie silence, the sudden disappearance. It all made sense now. He had encountered something unexplainable, something from beyond the grave. He left the library, his mind racing. He looked at the passing cars. Would he ever pick up another hitchhiker? Would you?